So how do you know if your car needs an alignment or not? Do you actually need one? When should you get one? And what are the damages that could happen in your car if you don't get an alignment? We're going to answer all these questions in this video right here. So we're going to take my car as an example. I made a video where I changed the driver's side control arm, and immediately after driving it, I knew the alignment was off because I would go drive straight and it would pull in one direction, so either left or right. This time it was pulling right. So a simple test you could do on your car is find a nice straight road and hold the steering wheel straight with both hands, and your car should be going straight, and you could use the line on the street as a reference. You shouldn't be either going left or right. That means your car is pulling, and as in this case you could see my car was pulling to the right. You don't want to be going towards the sidewalks unless you have a problem with a pedestrian or something. Another test you could do is when you're at a complete stop. Without holding the steering wheel, you're going to give it some gas and your car should pull straight for a few meters. If you see that right away it wants to pull on one side or the other, then you know your alignment is off. Now in the case of my car, as soon as I push the gas, the steering wheel would want to go left and the car would pull right. So I knew right away after changing the control arm, the alignment was off. And here's an example of a car with a good alignment. And as you can see, it's pulling straight when both of my hands are on the steering wheel and the steering wheel is facing straight. Now after putting my car on the alignment lift and looking at the initial numbers, we could tell that the problem was obviously in the front. The number in the middle is the thrust angle. That's the angle at which both wheels are relative to each other. So that number is really high. It's at 1.05, and that number should be at 0.10 or 0.15. That means they are both wheels are pointing in different directions, causing the pull. And as for the numbers in the back, they're all green, so we don't have to worry about anything in the back. So here's a closer look at the numbers in the back. Usually in a car where there's a torsion beam axle, the rear, there's nothing really adjustable, so it's always going to be in the green unless you were, unless that car was like in a serious accident, then you would see the numbers all in the red. But most of the time they stay in the green for the life of the car, since there's nothing adjustable in the back. And now here's a closer look at the numbers in the front. So as you can see, my right wheel is perfectly centered, and my left wheel is at 0.92 inwards. So that's the side where I changed the lower control arm, and that's the side that we're going to adjust to bring it all the way back to center. So as shown on the screen, there's 3 sets of numbers. The first one is the left and right caster. Usually caster 99% of the cars. There's no adjustments to make. The middle numbers are for the right and left camber. Camber usually adjustable with the front struts if you have camber bolts too, or if you have upper control arms, that could be adjustable as well. And the last number is the toe. So these are adjustable with the inner tie rods, and that's the number I'm going to be adjusting. So like I said before, my car is a torsion beam axle, and usually on cars with torsion beam axles, there's no adjustments to make since there's no rear tables or rear toe links. Usually when the numbers are all off on a torsion beam axle car, it's kind of an indication that it's been in a serious accident. So usually there's nothing to replace. You would have to replace the whole rear end, that's why. So here's an example of a car with an adjustable rear end. So usually you'll see rear tables and rear toe links, and as soon as you see bolts like these with the it's kind of a bolt head with a washer all in one, that means this component is adjustable. And for the back, there's also toe and camber angles to adjust. And here's a closer look at the side that we'll be adjusting. So all it is we're going to loosen that nut that's there, and then we're going to play with the inner tie rod, either move it in or out to change the angle of the wheel and bring it back to center. And now here's the numbers after everything has been centered. So it's pretty hard to get it exactly in the middle, but usually when you're in the green, you're good to go. The car is probably going to pull straight. And looking at our thrust angle, it's at 0.25, which is kind of where we want it. And now after test driving my car, as you can see, after the alignment, it's pulling straight. And on most makes and models, it is recommended to do a steering angle reset after an alignment. Because even on the alignment machine, if all the numbers are in the green and you go test drive it, your car could still be pulling. That's because of the steering angle sensor, and usually you would have to reset it. Another way to find out if your car needs an alignment or not is to check your tires and look for abnormal wear patterns. In the case of this car, it had toe angles off, so that's why it caused this pattern, this wear pattern on the tires. Here's another example of a car that had bad inner and outer tie rods and the damage it caused on the tires. So as you can see, there's tire wear towards the edge. That's what we call feathered tires. And as soon as you see damage like these, it's a good sign to go check your suspension. So I suggest every few months, inspect your tires and look for any abnormal wear pattern. And that would indicate a bad suspension. And usually with a bad suspension, it's going to mess up your alignment. And that's why it's important to check your tires and check your suspension to prevent these damages. Because when your tires are damaged like these, there's no going back. You would have to replace them all. That's why it's important to inspect your tires and your suspension and replace any loose suspension components. And always after that, get your alignment done so you could protect your tires. And that's how you know if your car needs an alignment or not. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you out. I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't forget to go get your alignment.